Good morning. Let me go live over here. Let's just see. I don't know. Can I do this over here? Yes, I can. Beautiful. All right. Let me pull this up on my phone really quick. All right. All right. Now I'm all set up. I hope you're having an amazingly wonderful morning already, wherever you are in the world. And make sure that as you get here, you, hold on. Make sure that as you get here, that you say hello, let me know that you're here. And if you're new to the group or new to me, tell me where you're signing in from, and let's just have a conversation. And yesterday, we talked about taking our power pose, right? Mine's my Wonder Woman, right? And we talked a lot about that. And one of the things that I said was once we can take our power pose and recognize how it changes our way we show up in the world and all those things, that then we would go back into the superpowers and our superhero persona. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit today. So let me just see what's happening over here. And over here, I can't see right now. All right. Well, I'm going to have another sip of my my coffee, and this morning when I went out with the new puppy, and was walking, it was like, I know it's an adjustment and everything, but it's kind of nice in a lot of ways that I'm out doing more and just taking little trips around. Like, yeah, I think it was yesterday, and I went in the afternoon, and there were these two little girls come riding up, and they were on their little scooters, and they came up and they were asking if they could pet Ren, and so I let them pet him, and one of them was it was so interesting because the first one that came up, she said, "Oh, what's your dog's name?" And I told her, and I said, "What's your name?" And oh my God, I'll have to think about it to remember. And then when the other little girl came up, she said something about your name. "Good morning, Wendy." And I said, "His name's Ren." She said, "No, I'm asking what's your name." And I thought, well, that's interesting. So I told her, I said, "My name's Vicky." And it was Rhina. One of them was Rhina, and the gosh, the names were so close together. I thought, are they twins? But they looked very different. I don't even know if they were from the same family. I have no idea. They looked that different. But they had names that I bet you they were spelled the same and pronounced differently. Rhina, Rena and Rhina. I think that's the way it was. And I was like, okay. But they were they were out wanting me to come and go to their lemonade stand they had set up. Well, I didn't have any cash on me, anything. I was out walking the dog, and I don't really indulge into the lemonade too much. So I just said, well, if you're still out here when I come out the next time, then I'll get some lemonade. But they were gone when I went back out. But I thought it was really interesting. They were where they had this set up, you would really have to be a neighbor to even indulge in it. But they were out there just having the time of their lives, being little entrepreneurs already. And they were probably maybe 10 at the most. So it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. So glad to have you this morning, Wendy. Did you do your power pose and your activity that you wanted to do yesterday? And if you didn't, there's no judgment here. It's okay. I'm just curious if you did. Because I know sometimes things get away and no, never got there. Okay, well, thanks for sharing and being honest. Because the thing is, when you can be honest with yourself, because it doesn't matter. It's that you recognize that you didn't take the time to do it, and maybe today you'll find time to do it. So it's there in your pocket if you want to pull it out, right? It's just one of the little tools that we have. And so today you're going to have a new one. And so you can utilize that tool and use the other one at the same time if you want to, because it's all about embracing this new you and creating this change. And it's the little steps, you know, it's nothing like nobody's standing over you with a whip and saying, okay, you got to do this. It's all here for you. And you get to pick and choose what you want to work on. Right. And I'm excited that you're here. So let's go ahead and go with the affirmation this morning, because I do have an early client, so I have to be very mindful of the time. Let's see. Are you having a good morning this morning, Wendy? I mean, here it's nice and sunshiny. It's only 72, but it feels warmer out there. But it's nice. The breeze is blowing, so it's like, oh. All right, so our affirmation today. Wonderful, Wendy. So our affirmation today is, I believe in my inner superhero, and I know I have the power to achieve amazing things, right? And because regardless of what's going on, we have so much power. And the thing is a lot of times when we feel like there's a disconnect from where we are to where we want to go, it can feel like we have no power at all. And so we don't want, well, the thing that it benefits us a lot is to know that we do, and that we only have to do, like I talk about it all the time, we'll only have to do like a 1% change every day, which is very simple to do. And sometimes the simplest and easiest things to do are also the simplest and the easiest things not to do. And so if you can just do one thing, 1% every day. So you didn't do your power pose and stuff yesterday. You probably in some way did some of it without even realizing it, because, we talked about it yesterday morning. And so it might be that you walked around and maybe you stood a little bit taller. You took a piece of that power pose and went with it, right? Or maybe you made a decision that you would have made differently had you not had that affirmation and everything yesterday. We don't know, right? But let's just labor with the idea that you did. And so that one little thing that you did without even noticing it changes things, right? So what we want to do is just be more in tune and noticing when we do, because there's so much of it that goes unnoticed, uncelebrated, right? Because a lot of times it's such a small, insignificant thing that we don't even realize it. It's amazing. And so that's one of the things that I love about going through this process, is that we start recognizing those things when we do them, and we might even catch ourselves. I know I do this every now and then, and all of a sudden I'll think, oh, I did that, and I didn't even plan on it. It just became, it happened that way, right? And so we want this to be a change that you just naturally, it becomes who you are. And it's not like you have to think, let me get my pose, let me stand up straighter, let me be positive minded, it's like it just happens. Just like when you first learned to drive a car, you had to think, let me make sure the mirror is here. Let me make sure this, let me do this. Let me buckle my seatbelt. And which way does the blinker go? And you had to consciously think when you were driving down the road, I need to take right. Where do I do my blinker? All of those things were something that you had to think about. But then over time, I mean, now if you've been driving for a while, you can probably get in the car, you can do all that adjustment without even noticing you're doing it. It just becomes part of the process, right? And so we're getting to this place little by little where our process is just automatic. So does it feel good, Wendy, to think that maybe it'll just all be automatic within you and you won't even have to think about it? It's like we don't have to think, breathe in, breathe out, right? It just happens. It's what keeps us alive. And part of the journey that we're on is to brighten up our life and make it all seem natural. Now, every time it gets very natural, you're going to end up stepping out of your comfort zone just a little bit, and then it'll amp up a little bit of like, woo, this feels a little strange, but then that becomes natural. And then you go a little bit, and then you stretch out of your comfort zone again, and then that becomes natural. So it's all a process, and we're doing it on purpose, right? So today, you remember yesterday we had the power pose, right? Which changes how we show up. Because remember, when we're people watching, what do we see when we see people walking and they're not mindfully doing things? They're just showing you how they feel about themselves and the world. And, because it's not just how they feel about themselves, it's how they feel about the world. Because if you're walking downtrodden and everything, not only do you feel despair, but you probably feel like a victim because the world's out to get you. Right. And so we're changing all of this and doing it on purpose. So as we're remembering yesterday and our power pose and how we show up, right? Now we're going to dive a little bit more into our superhero. And we've done this before in a little bit of a different way, right? So just think about your superhero persona. So, Wendy, I'm going to ask you, do you have one? I don't remember if you were there when we did it the last time, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm sorry to say I don't remember. But if you weren't there, then let's kind of dive into it today. What would be your superhero name? Your inner superhero name? Do you have one? I'm trying to think. I don't remember what mine was before. So let's see. What would it be now? What would I want it to be now? Let's see if there's got anybody coming up over here. All right. So let's think, Wendy. I'm trying to think. Ooh, let's put our thinking caps on now. What would be a good superhero name? So let's let's do it this way. So let's say you're a superhero. You've got your inner superhero is coming out. It's like you're breaking open the chest wall and your superhero's popping out. And it is all the gifts and the talents and all the things that you've been holding inside for fear of judgment or not being good enough or whatever that may be, right? Because we all have those feelings at some point. And so we're breaking it open, and the superhero within you is stepping out. And what would their superhero powers be? What do you feel like if you could be whatever you wanted to be in this world? And I know you have aspirations, right? What would your superpower be that you might want to be able to affect other people with? Like, whether it's, I don't want to put words in your mouth. So, do you have just think of one that would be a superpower that you would have that would make it where you show up in the world exactly the way you want to and you affect people the way you want to? Compassion and kindness. Okay, so let's see. Um, what about Wendy, the compassionate warrior? What do you think? If not, we'll dive on another one. Wendy, the compassionate warrior. So it's just okay. So is there, you would rather have something different? So let's see. Well, let's think of one more and let's just pick between the two. What if you were the kindness queen, the kindness, um, which do you like better, the compassion or the kindness? Good morning, Lynn. Good morning. We're talking about right now what our superhero persona would be. What would be our superpowers? So you can chime in too, Lynn, and let us know what your superpowers would be. If you were standing here today and suddenly your chest opened up, you pulled it open, and your inner superhero stepped out, what would their powers be? So, Wendy, do you feel like it would be which one do you think you would like better, the compassion or the kindness? Compassion. Okay. Um, so let's think of something besides warrior. What about influencer? Wendy, the compassionate influencer. Um, so, Lynn, you want to chime in? Have you got an idea of what your superhero persona would be? Let's see here. Hold on just a second. I'm thinking too, Wendy. Looking at the wrong place. All right, so I just put it into Chat GPT, Wendy, and it says, what about Wendy the Compassionator? It adds a playful and heroic twist to the name, emphasizing both compassion and action. I'm thinking of C and K things. So, what do you think about the Compassionator? Let's say, let's ask it to try again. Then it says Wendy the Compassionate. So you're saying without your name on there? Um, What about Wendy the Compassionista? So Lynn, have you done the superhero thing this morning? So we talked yesterday about how we take our power pose. Um, so how would you look at that and see what are your super powers today? Compassionate koala. Okay. I like it. You could do a lot with that, creating stuff, right? I love it, Wendy. Amazing. See, you did so much better than ChatGPT. You could do a lot of really cool animation and stuff with AI for that. That would be really cool. I can't really think of what it is, but I have been helping a gentleman friend to clear out an old home to sell and move into and declutter a new home. He consistently, hold on, let me see. He consistently talks of wanting to die and feeling unwell and in pain. I always tell him that he was continually manifesting how he feels by repeating it and not getting out of the funk. It's been hard, but I will be there for him. What would you call this power? It would kind of be the compassion too, an uplifter. In some ways, yeah, caregiver. In some ways, like there was somebody that I was talking to the other day, and she was talking about like an end of life doula kind of thing. I know that's not the same thing because you're hoping compassionate caregiver, yes. Um, the thing too is like, and I will just make a suggestion here and you can take it for whatever it's worth. A lot of times when people get to that place and they're unwell and they're in pain, it's really hard to have them um, go into that place of knowing that they're in charge of how they feel because it doesn't feel like it. So maybe look up, like, I share sometimes the emotional scale, and look it up and maybe print it out and just ask him, where are you on this scale? And if he is overwhelmed, disappointed, frustrated, whatever it may be, then just kind of look up a couple of steps up. Like if he were um, frustrated, then boredom would be two steps up. And maybe encourage him to do something that puts him just a couple of steps up from where he is, because it may be too hard a leap for him to be thinking, you know, um, I'm in pain, I'm unwell, and I'm feeling like this, and I just want to die, to suddenly be thinking thoughts of I feel good and all of that stuff. So give him just a little bit, a little place to go and see if that helps any, because you can get him to go there for a few days and then take him up a little bit more. It's a gradual thing, but it might be beneficial. And just see if that seems to make a little bit of a difference for him. So let's see here. Compassionate collie. But maybe she wants to stay human. So we can be human in our superpowers, our superhero. Um, ah, I love dogs. As you might can see, there's the little bed that's behind me now because I've got the new puppy that I had him up here in the office with me earlier. Yesterday. I can't bring him up here all the time because I have to go from here to work, and it's just too much activity to go through to try to transition from one place to the other that way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab our journal prompt. All right. So we've already talked a little bit about this, right? I've encouraged him to seek counseling. Perhaps the emotional scale may help him. But yeah, and the reason that the emotional scale helps so much is because we don't even realize that one of the emotions that we're avoiding sometimes are actually up above us in the scale. And so it's okay. Like, um, I was helping somebody one day and they were angry, and which anger, and then you go up one, that's discouragement, and you go up another one, that's blame. So see, and then so if you're angry and and you start blaming others, then you've actually gone up the scale, even though it doesn't feel like it or sound like it. So this is really, really helpful, because like if the person is disappointed and then suddenly they feel overwhelmed, that's actually one up on the scale, right? So just look it up. And like I said, I've got mine laminated and I keep it right here. Should I ever want to refer to it? And for a long time, I kept it in my wallet because I wanted to be able to see, was I going up or down on the scale, in just everyday interactions with people. Compassionate coroller? Am I even saying that right? I don't know. All right. So, anyway, what are my superhero qualities and how can I use them today to tackle a challenge or pursue a dream? So, your Wendy, you said yours was compassion, right? So, how can you tackle a challenge or pursue a dream today with compassion? So, it may be compassion for you, compassion for someone else, or just compassion in general, right? So, how can you use that quality of being compassionate to tackle this challenge or pursue a dream? So that is one of the things to work on today. So journal about this. And remember, we take as much time as we need to. Let me get back over here. As coroller. Okay. All right. So just spend some time with this today, because as you start exploring a little bit more about what your superpowers are, and for both of you, it could be, you've got all this stuff that you feel, and when you're thinking about compassion is your gift, so if you're going to help someone else be compassionate, then how would you go about helping them to see what compassion is and how it affects your day-to-day life and how it makes you feel and what difference it makes? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. So just think about it. The gift that you have, this superpower that you have, let's just pretend that you're going to help other people to do that too. And how would you do that? And how can you use the compassion within you that you're letting out? How can you have that help you to tackle a challenge or a dream? He has been a collector for 40 years, can't let go of times, and other times wants it all thrown out. Okay, yeah. So a lot of times when people are in that situation, the only comfort they have is that they have their stuff, right? And it kind of makes them feel grounded where they are. And so maybe it would be beneficial. And I'm not a doctor. I don't have a clue. I'm just saying what comes up. Maybe if you can help him get grounded, whether that means taking his shoes off and putting him barefoot on the floor, and will he do visualizations with you or anything like that? I don't know. If he will, maybe you could take him through a visualization of how his feet's on the floor. And I think you've been on a couple of calls and things and classes that I've done where I did those visualization where roots come out your feet and ground you into the earth. And maybe he just needs to be grounded a little bit. And people if they're basically a hoarder, then there's a lot of emotional stuff on that, right? And he's, how old did you say he is? All right, so I'm going to go back to our affirmation. 72. Okay. So he's really not that old when you think about it. Um, so, maybe try helping him ground and see if you can, get the emotional scale, see where he's at. You don't have to tell him anything to start with, and then see if you can help him move that up the scale a little bit. Whether he understands it or knows about it or not, you can still maybe help do that. But then if you want to sit and talk to him about it, what it is and what it means, then maybe that would be helpful too. And then he could have the thing and he could look at it. I don't know him, so I don't know what would benefit him the most. But it's not comfortable to live in a world that's so cluttered, because the more cluttered the space, the more cluttered the mind, and it constricts you. And then he's not feeling well either, so he's got a lot of things that he's wanting to bust out of too. So maybe you can help him, and like I said, little incremental changes are so much easier for someone in that situation, because anything big is too big a leap and they won't do anything. It's like they'll stop, right? All right, so, um let's get back to our wait a minute. What am I doing? The affirmation is, I believe in my inner superhero and know I have the power to achieve amazing things. So write that on your sticky notes, your index cards, your screensaver on your phone, wherever it is that you can be noticing that today. And if you didn't do your power pose yesterday, as you're thinking about this, analyze, what is the power pose that would go with this superhero that I am saying I am? What would be my power pose? And just play with it a little bit. And because what we're doing is we're researching in our mind what feels the best for us, right? And it's going to be different for everybody. And so just play with it. And then the journal prompt, what are my superhero qualities and how can I use them today to tackle a challenge or pursue a dream? And then just journal as much as comes up, right? All these superhero qualities, because I know you're looking for it by the things that you're doing right now, right? Especially you, Lynn, because it's what you're dealing with this gentleman. However, you have a hell of a lot more superpowers that you're not even acknowledging right now. And so take some time to sit in silence and then just brain dump as much as comes up, because we have, it may be that not only are you compassionate and kind, Wendy, but maybe you have the gift of helping people relax. Maybe your gift is communication. Maybe your gift is helping people to see their gifts. Whatever it is, just brain dump as much. And even if it sounds like the silliest thing, it doesn't really apply, because your subconscious mind, the first thoughts that pop into your mind when you sit and you get in silence, are accurate in your subconscious mind. And so it's digging things out that you don't even know are there. And so just write it all down. It doesn't mean you have to do anything with it, but it's beautiful to see. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here, Lynn, and I will see you later. And just a quick reminder, if you at all possibly can, come to this thing with Stacy on Saturday. I'm going to put a link in the comments so that you can sign up if you haven't already, but it's going to be so amazing. And you don't know who you might meet while we're there. I always look at those things as, sometimes it's not necessarily that the teaching is exactly what you're looking for. Maybe it's the communication with someone else. And it could be the teachings too. Maybe there's a little nugget in there that'll help you with all of this, right? So I will put the link in the comments in just a little bit, because I have to get to work. But it's going to be amazing. And anybody that is watching on any of the other platforms, and you want to be part of the Stand Up and Stand Out community, just go to VickyPoole.com, VICKIEPOOLE.com, and answer the questions, and you'll be entered in the group. And it is an amazing group. And I love each and every one of you guys. So, all right. So, Wendy, I love all that you're doing with your superhero powers and your qualities and all of that. So spend some time with this today, if you can, sometime today, and just see what are the other qualities that you have, because you've got so many. I know, because I've had conversations with you, and just pull them out and see. And remember what I said. The first things that come to your mind, it doesn't matter. Don't judge them. Just write them down. It doesn't matter. But write them down, because that's your subconscious mind talking to you. And we want to listen. We want to know what can come up, right? That we're not even aware of. Because the more we've done things and the more normal it's become, like I said, each time we make these changes, it becomes our new normal. So we don't even notice a lot of the things that we do. All right, so it is time for me to pop off here, and you guys have an extremely blessed day, and find your have a superhero enlightening day. How about that? I don't have Wendy here to give me the last call thing, because she's on her cruise right now. And wouldn't we all love to be on that cruise with her right now? Okay. So have an amazing superhero enlightening day, and I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern.